Okay, so today we are reading chapter 7, which is called Strawbridge. The old lady drank her tea and wrinkled her nose in disgust. "I'm always doing that," she said. "I'm always letting my tea go cold." The dog scratched his ear, groaning with the pleasure of it, but eyeing me all the time. "Is that the end, then?" I asked. She laughed and put down her cup. "I should say not," she said, and then she went on, picking a tea leaf off the tip of her tongue. "Up till now, it's been just Bertie's story. He told it to me so often that I almost feel I was there when it happened. But from now on, it's my story too." "What about the White Lion?" I had to know. "Did he find the White Lion? Did he keep his promise?" The old lady suddenly seemed clouded with sadness. "You must remember," she said, putting a bony hand on mine, "that true stories do not always end just as we would wish them to. Would you like to hear the truth of what happened, or shall I make something up for you, just to keep you happy?" "I want to know what really happened," I replied. "Then you shall," she said. She turned from me and looked out of the window again at the butterfly lion, still blue and shimmering on the hillside. Whilst Bertie was growing up on his farm in Africa with his fence all around, I was growing up here at Strawbridge in this echoing cold cavern of a house, with its deer park and its high wall around it. As I grew up for the most part alone, I too was an only child. My mother had died giving birth to me, and father was rarely at home. Maybe that was why the two of us, Bertie and I, got on so well from the first moment we met. We had so much in common from the very start. Like Bertie, I scarcely ever left the confines of my home, so I had few friends. I didn't go to school either, not to start with. I had a governess instead, Miss Tulips. Everyone called her No Lips, because she was so thin-lipped and severe. She moved around the house like a cold shadow. She lived on the top floor, like cook, and like Nanny. Nanny Mason, bless her heart, brought me up and taught me all the do's and don'ts of life, like all good nannies should. But she was more than just a nanny to me. She was a mother to me, and a wonderful one too. The best I could have had, the best anyone could have had. My mornings were always spent at my studies with No Lips, but all the while I was looking forward to my afternoons out walking with Nanny Mason, except on Sundays when I was allowed to be on my own all day if father wasn't home for the weekend, which he usually wasn't. Then I could fly my kites when it was fine and read my books when it wasn't. I loved my books, Black Beauty, Little Women, Heidi. I loved them all because they took me outside the park walls. They took me all over the world. I met the best friends I ever had in those books. Until I met Bertie, that is. I remember it was just after my 10th birthday. It was Sunday and I was out flying my kites. But there wasn't much wind, and no matter how hard I ran, I just couldn't get even my best box kite to catch the wind and fly. I climbed all the way up Wood Hill looking for wind, and there at the top I found it at last, enough to send my kite soaring. But then the wind gusted and my kite swirled away crazily towards the trees. I couldn't haul it in time. It caught on a branch and stuck fast in a high elm tree amongst the rookery. The rooks flew out, cawing in protest, while I tugged at my line, crying in my fury and frustration. I gave up, sat down and howled. That was when I noticed a boy emerging from the shadow of the trees. "I'll get it down for you," he said, and began to climb the tree. Easy as you like, he crawled along the branch, reached out and released my kite. It floated down and landed at my feet. My best kite was torn and battered, but at least I had it back. Then he was down the tree and standing there in front of me. "Who are you? What do you want?" I asked. "I can mend it if you like," he said. "Who are you?" I asked again. "Bertie Andrews," he replied. He was wearing a grey school uniform, and one I recognised for once. From the Lion Gateway, I had often watched them on their walks, 2 by 2, blue school caps, blue socks. "You're from the school up the road, aren't you?" I said. "You won't tell on me, will you?" His eyes were wide with sudden alarm. I saw then that his legs were scratched and bleeding. "Been in the wars, have you?" I said. "I've run away," he went on, "and I'm not going back. Not ever." "Where are you going?" I asked him. He shook his head. "I don't know. In the holidays I live at my auntie's in Salisbury, but I don't like it there." "Haven't you got a proper home?" I said. "Of course I have," he replied. "Everyone has. But it's in Africa." That whole afternoon we sat together on Wood Hill, and he told me all about Africa, about his farm, about his waterhole, about his white lion, and how he was somewhere in France now in a circus, and how he couldn't bear to think about him. But I'll find him, he said fiercely. I'll find him somehow. To be honest, I wasn't sure how much I really believed all this about a white lion. I just didn't think lions could be white. But the trouble is, he went on, even when I do find him, I won't be able to take him home to Africa like I always wanted. Why not? I asked. Because my mother died. He looked down and pulled the grass beside him. She had malaria, but I think she really died of a broken heart. When he looked up, his eyes were swimming with tears. You can, you know. Then my father sold the farm and married someone else. I never want to go back. I never want to see him again. Never. I wanted to say how sorry I was about his mother, but I couldn't find the right words to say it. You really live here, do you? He said. In that big place? It's as big as my school. I told him then what little there was to know of me, all about father being away in London so much, about No Lips and Nanny Mason. He sucked at the purple clover as I talked, and when neither of us had anything more to say, we lay back in the sun and watched a pair of mewing buzzards wheeling overhead. I was wondering what would happen to him if he got caught. What are you going to do? I said at last. Won't you get in trouble? Only if they catch me. But they will. They're bound to. In the end, I said. You've got to go back before they miss you. After a while he propped himself up on his elbow and looked down at me. Maybe you're right, he said. Maybe they won't have missed me yet. Maybe it's not too late. But if I go back, could I come again? I can face it if I can come again. Would you let me? I'll mend your kite, really I will. And he gave me a smile so melting that I couldn't refuse him. So it was arranged. He would meet me under the big wych elm on Wood every Sunday afternoon at 3, or as close to 3 as he could. He would have to come through the woods so that he could never be seen from the house. I knew full well that if No Lips ever found out, there'd be merry hell to pay, for both of us probably. Bertie shrugged and said that if he got caught, all they could do at school was beat him, and that once more wouldn't make much of a difference anyway. And if they expelled him, well then, that would suit him fine. So, your 5 questions for this chapter. Who is telling the story now? What did the old lady and Bertie have in common? Why did the old lady enjoy to read during childhood? Question 4. Where was there enough wind to fly the kite? And question 5. Why would it suit Bertie to be expelled from school anyway? Oh, your sentence stems. Have a go at answering, pause, and then continue when you have had a go. Okay, so the old lady is telling the story now. The old lady and Bertie both grew up with their father often away from home and as only children. Okay. Why did the old lady enjoy to read? So the old lady enjoyed to read during childhood as the books took her all over the world and took her away from reality. She also said that some of her best friends were in those books. Okay, there was enough wind at the top of Wood Hill to send the kite soaring. It would suit Bertie to get expelled from school as he didn't like it there, so wouldn't care if he didn't have to go back. Question 6. We've got a quote here from the text on page 55. She was so thin-lipped and severe, she moved around the house like a cold shadow. What impression does this passage give the reader about Miss Tulips? Okay. Question 7. Do you think the young girl and Bertie will become good friends? What have their characters got in common? Okay. Question 8. What additional details do we learn about Bertie's family? How has his family changed from when he lived in Africa? And we find that information on page 61. Pause, have a go at answering, and then you can press play. Okay, so we've got here, she was so thin-lipped. Here. She was so thin-lipped and severe. She moved around the house like a cold shadow. Okay, thin-lipped. I don't know if you've come across this phrase before. Thin-lipped makes you think quite prim and proper. It makes me, as the reader, think that she would be quite strict. Okay. The fact that she moved around the house like a cold shadow. Michael Morpurgo has chosen that phrase, cold shadow, on purpose. He doesn't say she moved around the house like a beam of sunshine, because that would paint a positive picture in our head. Cold shadow makes us think it's something you wouldn't really want to be close to, okay? It's something quite negative, okay? Also, the fact that she lived on the top floor gives us a bit of a clue about this character. She lived on the top floor, so she kept herself shut away from everybody else, from the family, okay? Which means she's perhaps quite stern. She likes her own company. That's the impression that I get from that small paragraph, or that small sentence, or couple of sentences about Miss Tulips, okay? And we also know where she got her nickname of No Lips from. Do you think the young girl and Bertie will become good friends? That is completely up to you, okay? As we have talked about earlier, they have got quite a lot in common, okay? They both have grown up in houses where the dad isn't around very much, okay? They have both they've both grown up in houses, whilst they are in different countries, they are very similar in terms of the girl, or the old lady who's telling the story from when she was a girl. The girl grew up in this big house that's got big walls around it and a forest, meaning that she can't necessarily get out. She said she didn't often go out of the walls, okay? That is the same as Bertie, who grew up in Africa with that compound, isn't it, to stop him getting out into the wild, okay? It says here, father being away so much, didn't really have much social interaction with friends, okay? Which was the same. We know Bertie didn't have that many friends. The lion was his only friend, really. And then we can tell from the lady, she used to, the little girl, sorry, the little girl read lots of books, and she said that was where she had her only friend. So they've got quite a lot in common. Okay. And question 8, what additional details do we learn about Bertie's family? How has his family changed from when he lived in Africa? Okay, so if we think back to when he was in Africa, he had his mum, who was ill a lot of the time, wasn't she? She didn't really stand up to the dad other than on that one occasion. The dad was not often there. He was quite strict. He made the rules, basically. So how has it changed since then? He tells us straight away. His mother died. She had malaria. Said, but I really think she died of a broken heart. Okay, why might she have died of a broken heart? Why might she have had a broken heart? Yeah, that's right. So she might have had a broken heart because Bertie was sent to school in England, and that had broken her heart that she couldn't spend time with her son every day. But she had also become quite attached and quite fond of the lion. So that might have hurt her a little bit and broken her heart a little bit. Okay, you can see from here, his eyes were swimming with tears, that obviously really, really upset Bertie. And then it also says that he's not that fussed anymore about his father. He said, I never want to see him again, never. So that kind of cements, we thought, didn't we, that they didn't have that good of a relationship when they were living in Africa earlier in the book. But that cements that his father's moved on, he's married someone else. He's saying, I never want to go back, I never want to see him again. And I think that's because he probably, that farm, if he went back to the farm or if he saw his dad, it would probably bring back too many bad memories from when he was a child. He also doesn't like his dad because his dad sold the lion to the Frenchman for the circus.
Hi guys, hope you're all okay and ready to go through your Do It and Secure It from yesterday. We'll do that first, and then I'm going to tell you about our exciting math session that we've got today. So, question 1 asks you to find the missing start and end times. So, Archery, its duration was 1 hour and 45 minutes and it finished at 3. Hopefully you would have worked out that it started at 1:15. Because if we've got 1:15, 45 minutes would have taken us to 2, and then the extra hour, 3. Knitting. End time was 3:05 and it was on for 1 hour and 15 minutes. So if we take off an hour, we're back to 2:05. We take off 5 minutes, we're 2. Take away another 10 minutes and we've got 13:50 as our start time. Now quilling started at 25 to 3 and it was on for an hour and 5 minutes. So if we add an hour on, we're at 3:35 and an extra 5 minutes, we're at 3:40. Okay. Number 2 asked you, which activity ends the latest? So gymnastics starts at 3:30 and lasts for 1 hour 15 minutes. And football starts at 16:05 and lasts 45 minutes. So if you worked it out, gymnastics finished at 4:45 and football finished at 10:05. So the answer was that football finishes latest by 5 minutes. Okay, then your Do It Extra challenge, you had to match the start times and duration to the correct end times. So A was Movie Madness, and the start time was 2:57 p.m. and the duration was 1 hour and 29 minutes. After using maybe your number line technique or another way, however you wanted to do it, you should have worked out that it finished at 16:26. Sorry guys, that one came on early. So your afternoon news, 15:08, it finished at 16:21, and your kids zone, 4:03, and after an hour and 41 minutes, we finished at 17:44. Your Secure It yesterday said that Sean put his cookies in the oven at 14:45, and they need to bake for 45 minutes. Sean says, I know that the cookies will be ready at 14:90 because 45 and 45 equals 90. Is he correct? Explain your reasoning. Now, I'm hoping straight away you all would have said that he wasn't correct because we all know that 14:90 is not a time. But what I would have liked you to have done is actually worked out the time it should have been. So if you'd added 45 minutes on to your 14:45, you would have found that it should have finished baking at 15:30. So Sean is incorrect because it actually finishes at 15:30. Okay? Woohoo! We're doing a quiz. Okay, so I thought it'd be really fun to do a year 4 time quiz now that we finished our time unit. So what we'll do is I'll ask each question. You'll have a multiple choice. I want you to pause me and write down your answer and then unpause me and the real answer will be revealed and you can tick it or cross it, okay? It's not a competition. Don't panic. It's just a bit of fun. What can you remember? All right, let's get started. Question 1. How many seconds are there in 5 minutes? Is it A 30, B 60 or C 300? Pause me and then come back and I will reveal the answer. $300. Well done if you got that one right. Question 2. What time does the analog clock show? Does it show you 9 minutes to 3, 10 minutes past 10, or 11 minutes past 10? Pause me while you write your answer and then come back when you're ready. If you put 11 minutes past 10, give yourself a big tick. Well done. Question 3. How many minutes are there in a quarter of an hour? Is the 10 minutes, 15 or 45? Pause me, come back when you're ready. 15 minutes. Well done, because remember there's 60 minutes in an hour, so 1/4 must be 15. How many months are there in 4 years? Are there 48, 36 or 12? Pause me, come back when you're ready. It was, of course, 48 because 4 times 12 is 48. Well done if you got that one. Okay, so a car left Manchester at 2:30 p.m. and arrived at Sheffield at 3:43 p.m. How long did the car journey last? Was it A, 1 hour and 23 minutes, B, 1 hour and 30 minutes, or C, 13 minutes? Pause me while you think and write down and come back when you're ready. 1 hour and 13 minutes, okay? Because we add on that hour from 2:30, you get 3:30, and 30 at 13 is 43, so the answer was B. So is 1934 in the morning or evening, or neither? It's in the evening, of course, because it's actually 7:34, and we do 7 at 12, and that is 1934. What is 9:54 p.m. in digital time? Is it 09:54, 19:54, or 21:54? Pause me, come back when you're ready. Hopefully we all remembered that 9 at 12 is 21, so the answer was 21:54. Well done. What happens in a leap year? There are 29 days in February instead of 28. There are 27 days in February instead of 28. Or there is an extra month in the year. Pause me while you think about it and come back when you're ready. And the answer is there are 29 days in February instead of 28. We are in a leap year, so hopefully everybody got that one. Who can tell me what time is midnight in analog time? So not digital, analog. Is it 12:00, 12:00 a.m., 12:00 p.m.? So analog, midnight. Pause me and then come back when you're ready. This was a bit of a trick one, but it's 12:00 a.m., okay? Because it's in the morning. We're going into our new day, so it's 12:00 a.m. Well done if you got that one. And our last question, what is the start time if a 1 hour 10-minute journey ended at 4 o'clock? So what is the start time? Is it 5:10 p.m., 2:50 p.m. or 2:10 p.m.? Okay, pause me while you think and then come back when you're ready for the answer. And the answer was 2:50 p.m. because if you take an hour at 4 o'clock, you're at 3 o'clock, and then take 10 minutes, you're at 2:50. Well done. And that is the end of our quiz, Class 4. Have a fabulous weekend, and I can't wait to get back together on Monday to start our new topic of statistics in maths. Okay? I will see you later, alligators.
Hi everybody, welcome to your writing session today. I'm really excited about it because we're going to be writing those reports that we've been working on this week to do with our butterfly lion text. I can't wait to see all of the amazing writing that you're going to be doing. So to warm us up, let's start with our verb tenses that we've been practicing today this week. 2 sentences on the board. Peter was a great explorer. Joel begins to share the story with the class. Can you swap them into the other tense for me? Pause the video, have a go, come back when you've got your answers. Okay, how did you get on with those today? So, Peter was a great explorer becomes Peter is a great explorer. We're changing our verb from was to is. Joel begins to share the story with the class. If we're changing that into the past tense, begins is our verb, so it's Joel began to share the story with the class. Remembering that we've got those irregular verbs. Well done if you managed to get both of those correct today. So today's learning is all about writing that information text and remembering that our purpose for our writing is not only to inform, so they've got lots and lots of information, facts and knowledge about the text when we're finished, but also to engage them, to make them enjoy reading what we're doing. Now, if we go back and think a couple of days ago, to the elephants text that we were working on, and the pandas and the tigers and all of the other texts that you've been reading during the week. These were some of the ways that the author informed technical language, made comparisons, gave us some interesting facts, labelled diagrams, and then other ways that the author engaged us. He gave us the subheadings, which were questions, if you remember. They used inciting interjections like interestingly, also, they even. We had expanded noun phrases to give us the detail. They made the facts sound super exciting, and they also compared so we knew exactly what we were talking about. If you remember, they gave us that information, didn't they, about the elephant being as big as 3 young children standing on top of each other, so we could really picture in our minds exactly how big that was. And the same with the ears, were shaped like the continent of Africa, and you can almost see that teardrop shape that the ears must be as well. So we're going to use all of that today, as we're going to put it into our own writing, and you're going to be writing about lions, and I'm going to show you what you could do with it, with the work that we were doing, that I was doing on whales yesterday. So hopefully this will help you out. Okay, so we're going to start off by looking at our introduction. Okay, so remembering that our introduction needs to tell our reader what our text is going to be about, even if there was no title. Even if there was no title on it, would they know that it's about elephants in this case, whales in my case, and then lions in your case? And we also want to give them some facts, some information that makes them a little bit interested, a little bit excited, so that they carry on reading the rest of the text. So let's read this one to remind us how that could be done. Found throughout various countries in eastern and southern Africa, the magnificent African elephant is the largest land animal and is even larger than the Indian elephant. If you are travelling in countries such as Botswana, Tanzania and Zimbabwe, you might be lucky enough to spot one in their natural habitat. Every year these incredible mammals migrate, which means they have to move around so that they can find food during the wet and dry seasons. Okay, we've got those bits of explanation in there as well. We've got those introductions. If you're travelling, it's talking to us directly. It's giving us something really exciting. It's the largest land animal. So we can use these bits of information to make our writing really, really exciting. So let me show you how this could be done for my whales text. Okay, so here we are, and I've got my facts that I spotted yesterday when we were working on this text, and I've written them down in here, so that helps me when it comes to my actual writing, so I can just refer to them, I can cross them off so I know which ones I've said, and then I can make sure that I'm keeping all that facts and information but really engaging my reader as well. So if I have a look here to start with, what's my most interesting fact that I've got, because I want to engage that reader. It's important that I engage the reader right from the start, so I think my best fact is that one there, that it's the biggest animal. Okay, so I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to try and engage them through using a question. So I'm going to start with a did you know. Did you know that blue whales are the largest animal on the planet? And then I'm going to go with even as one of our introductions, bigger than elephants, because our elephants text told us that they were the biggest land animal, didn't they? And this one tells us that it's the biggest animal on the planet. And then I'm going to talk about the fact that they're a mammal. I think that's going to be one of my interesting ones as well. So I'm going to talk about that one. Even bigger than elephants. I'm just going to go for even though. Oh, can I use even bigger than elephants and then say even though? It's too many evens, isn't it? I wonder what word I could use instead. Let me think. Right, to get rid of that one then, I'm going to put many people think that a whale is a fish, but it is actually a mammal because it is warm-blooded and cross these off because I've done those ones. So it's warm-blooded. It's the biggest animal. So I'm going to put breathing air in here as well. warm-blooded and breathes air. Now I want to compare this to something they know. So we're a mammal, humans are mammals, so I'm going to try and compare it there. Let's go back to that sentence so I can see if this works. Many people think that a whale is a fish, but it is actually a mammal because it is warm-blooded and breathes air just like you and me. I'm going for an exclamation mark to help it to engage that reader even further. Okay? Let me think. I might do this bit next, then the family. The blue whale is part of the dolphin family. Oh, no, I don't like that fact there. I think I might leave it there and go into a new paragraph where I can start to describe my dolphin, and that might help me to fill in that bit as well. So I'm going to leave it there and go into my description next. So this is going to be my introduction. Let's think, does it inform? Let's have a little look whether it informs the reader. We'll do those in red, and if it engages the reader, we'll look at those and we'll highlight those in blue. Okay, so did you know that blue whales are the largest animal on the planet, even bigger than elephants? Many people think that a whale is a fish, but it's actually a mammal because it is warm-blooded and breathes air just like you and me. So if I look at the different ways that I've informed them, well, I've told them he's the largest animal on the planet, so that's information. I've also said that he's a mammal, so that's information, and I've said warm-blooded and breathes air, which is information. Oh, wrong colour, Mrs. Pilkington. Okay, let me swap those. So those are all my informing bits. And how have I engaged the reader? Well, I've used some questions. Did you know that? I've also used an interjection, even bigger. And I've also added this direct address to the audience, just like you and me. And I've used an exclamation mark. So, yeah, I think I'm quite happy of a starting point that informs my reader. Got some information in there. And it engages my reader as well. So, yeah, super happy with that. And I'm going to carry on with my writing. And you're going to now have a go at writing your introduction for your text. Okay, so let's go back and find out what you've got to do today. Okay, so this is your task for today. So your task is to use the information that you found yesterday, the research that you did yesterday, to write your information text about lions. Okay. So it needs to have that introduction. It needs to have those separate sections about the different parts of the lion that you looked at yesterday, your 4 quarters on your piece of paper that you planned with. However, you can decide how you want to present your information text as long as it's informative and it's engaging. It informs and it engages, okay? So you could fold it and make it into a leaflet and have a new section on each page. You could make a poster and include some labelled diagrams to help you explain. You might want to make a PowerPoint and each section is on a different slide if you've got access to PowerPoint. That'd be lovely to see. Or you could draft it as a text and then create it as a video. So pretend you're some sort of wildlife presenter and talk to us about the lions using your text to help you. So still having those different sections but presenting it orally instead, okay? So have a little think. You can do it as a normal non-chronological written report, or you might want to do it as a poster or a leaflet or a presentation or a video. However you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But remember, we really, really want to see them because I think they'll be absolutely incredible. So make sure once you finish today that you do email them across to your teachers because they will be so excited to see what you've been doing. So it's year 3 or year 4 at redbrookhayes.staffs.sch.uk. So you're going to pause the video now. You're going to go away and write your information text for me. And then when you're ready to hear about the last day for our connected curriculum, do come back and we will look at it together. Okay? Right then. Oh, and those are the email addresses if you want to send your work through to us as well. So connected curriculum for today. It's our very last day on the features of coastlines. We're going to move on to a new topic again on Monday. So make sure if you've done nothing else this week that perhaps you watch the videos on the different types of coastlines and you read some of the information that's included in the work pack so that you're aware of the different coastlines that there are. And then what you can do is, if you'd like to show us what you know, we'd really like to see some newspaper reports for Challenge 1, some models, however you decide to make those for Challenge 2. Challenge 3, some letters maybe about different sea defences. And Challenge 4 is that explanation text, however you want to show us what you know, would be more than welcome. Make sure you send those across to us by the end of the weekend as well. And then we'll be back on Monday, and there'll be a brand new connected curriculum challenge for you to have a go at. So it's been really, really amazing learning with you this week. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll be back on Monday with more facts, more information, and lots more learning challenges for you. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Bye-bye.